CJ Stroud spoke to the media after a 14-9 loss that felt way worse than a 14-9 loss should feel. And a lot of that's because the offense just showed so many signs of being what they were last year, with different offensive linemen and a different offensive coordinator and everything else. They couldn't score points in the second half, and they were done in by their own mistakes. I boosted the audio of and cleaned up some of the background noise of the people asking the questions. So hopefully, I know that's a huge complaint from people typically with these press conferences. Here we go. First question. Got cut off a little bit, but it's about what the defense showed them to take Nico Collins out of the game today.
That allowed them to limit Nico in particular and other defenses?
Just play shell, a lot of tamper two, a lot of disguise, cover two, and played over the top. So they did a good job of that. But I feel like we were executing in ways, but just some of those negative plays that we got to just fix. But I thought we moved the ball pretty well, but just got to just put it in the end zone or try to create an explosive somehow. But yeah, we'll be seeing that all year, so we got to get used to it.
CJ,
yeah, you'll be seeing it all year. And just one good example of this, the Rams did do a good job of disguising their looks. This sack, I think it was in the third quarter. You can see at the line of scrimmage what CJ's seeing initially, single high coverage, boxes loaded, and then we got motion going across, and just as everybody's shifting into what would end up looking like at least either a disguised, it might have been a cover six, like whatever it was. CJ's got his back turned as everything's shifting downfield, whips his eyes around, probably seeing something a little different than what he expected, and then could have stepped up in the pocket there. I know what they're saying on the broadcast, but if you look up at the top of the screen, he could have stepped up there. So he points out later to a couple of the things that he could have done better. I think this is probably one of them, but some of the IDing pre-snap, which is difficult against a team like this that disguises really well.
Allow them to limit.
Let's see. We're going to have an issue here. 30. There we go.
You all have a next man up mentality, but what is the difference from a quarterback's perspective when you're so used to playing with one set of offensive linemen and picked up their tendencies, they know your tendencies, but then all of that gets shuffled within 90 days?
Yeah, it's not easy, It's something that just, what you're going to complain about, or you're just, or you're going to lay down, or you're going to go play. So for me, I just try to compete. Try to compete as best as I can and show those guys that I don't care who's in there, like, I trust in you. And by the way I play, I try to play as hard as I can to show that I'm there for them, and also vocally as well. So, but yeah, even, our receiver a little bit, we got some guys, hopefully coming back hopefully soon. So, it's not always easy, but, that's why I'm in the position I am, to try to, solve some of those issues, because everybody deals with injuries. But, I think I've try to do my best at that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody deals with injuries, and there's going to be more injuries along the way. He mentioned the receiver there, which surprised me a little bit. Just in that, man, Christian Kirk and Braxton Berrios both out. Jalen Noel today ends up with one reception for 7 yards, and getting some help in the quick game, which I thought they actually did show some signs of improvement today. That could hopefully be a big boost to them next week. But the offensive line is just, you started off with offensive linemen that were questionable on an individual level. I think they did some things better as a group, but all in all, the pressure rate today, got this from Texans Jacob, 41.2% of his dropbacks per Next Gen Stats. He completed 9 of 10 passes for 102 yards today when pressured, which recorded a 29.7% CPOE. I don't know what that is, but the highest of Stroud's career. Whatever the CPOE is, it was the highest of his career. Everything is great. Everything is awesome. They had to rely on max protection a lot, or at times, and then that's when the protection looked good. But you have a tight end and a running back both in protection. That means you've got minimal guys out on routes. When you had to just trust the 5 offensive linemen, you've got Ariante Ursary playing in his first game ever. Just, hey, by the way, you're going to go play right tackle this week. No. You're left tackle for a few snaps. No. You're going back to right. It felt like last year. Next question.
experience that you have, and obviously didn't come up with the results that you wanted today. But what do you take from this game to be able to learn from it and then come back stronger in week 2?
Yeah, I take just negative plays. I think it's kind of obvious. You know, we can't shoot ourselves in the foot consistently and expect to win. And that starts with me, you know, with a lot of different things. I got to get rid of the ball better and, you know, use my legs maybe a little more. But, yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of hope still. We did a lot of good things. You know, it's a really good defense, it's a really good team. But I definitely think we could have won. But just you can shoulda, woulda, coulda all day. We didn't deserve to win that game because we didn't do the right things. So when you come out in NFL lollygagging and you know not going through the motions, that kind of happens. So I think we'll be all right. But I think it's a good wake up call for us.
Yeah, lollygagging and going through the motions. I should have put that on the thumbnail. Dang, lollygagging. We got CJ out here swearing about what's going on. That honestly surprised me a little bit, and you know, maybe that falls back on coaching at some point, whether it's Kaylee or D'Amico Ryans or whatever it might be. That's something that CJ's gonna or D'Amico's gonna take very seriously, as Ernastrads keeps pointing out here. The run game was starting to gain traction. We have a lot to look forward to. Relax. We had at least 4 different combinations at O-line in one game. I appreciate your positivity. This is the problem, though. You had 4 different offensive line combinations in the first game, and the center looked like he had a pretty brutal injury, at least by his emotions and him being carted off. So, like, the depth at offensive line was already suspect by virtue of your starting offensive line having a lot of question marks. So I appreciate it, but these are serious concerns. I can assure you, D'Amico Ryans is not going to be in meetings tomorrow saying, everybody relax. It's all good. The offensive line will probably trade for 3 players tomorrow. There's legitimate reasons for concerns. I'm not panicking because, yes, you can get a lot better from week 1 to week 2. They can do some things, and they can build on some things like the run game that they did today. But let's not pretend like the offense looking as bad or worse than they did at the end of last year is something that you can just brush off your shoulder and say no big deal. You have to approach these things with the appropriate magnitude, okay? I'm not panicking. I'm not sitting here saying that, they're doomed to be a losing team or anything. But, like, let's call it what it is. They got some work to do.
Did you talk about using your leg? It's like you did that today. You also seem like you made a few check downs, use different players, something you're feeling more comfortable with?
Yeah, definitely. I try to use my athleticism as best I can, and you know, I tell those guys if you're open, you'll get the ball. So those guys, I think, did a good job, and you know, getting separation in routes. But you know, I think there's a lot of growing to do still there.
What do you feel like?
I think it was the first question about running the ball or not. Yeah, he's he looked really comfortable running as he did at the end of last year. He didn't take any big hits that I can remember, so that was good. So one of the things I was impressed with Jalen Hurts watching him this week was, man, boy, he knows exactly just when he'll slide 2 yards short of a first down. He totally understands that, yeah, I'm going to run, but I'm not going to risk my health for the sake of the team in the first quarter of a regular season game.
Why do you feel like?
Right, I mean, he'd be risking it to the detriment of the team is what I meant to say.
Today's outing was kind of a wake-up call for you guys.
I just think the way we practice.
Sorry, I was yapping over that.
Why do you feel like, you mentioned that you feel that was a wake-up call. Why do you feel like today's outing was kind of a wake-up call for you guys?
I just think the way we practiced this week, I think we could have practiced better. I think, you know, I love the confidence we have, but there's I don't know, I always say there's like a type of mindset is like, did I do enough? And I think it's a healthy way to be, because then you'll probably do more. So I just, for me, you know, preparing, I got to do a better job. And I also got to hold my guys accountable, you know, for that one exotic look. And it's the first game of the year. We got a lot of exotic looks we did not expect. They did too, but they made the play. So you can come with a million excuses. We got to just be better.
Yeah, and that's that's appropriate. Like, we didn't expect the exotic looks. That's week 1. That's the way it goes. I mean, he's only going to have so many week 1s in his career, so you try to learn the lessons as much as possible to expect the unexpected. But it's hard to do. Part of this is just young players just needing to be in more circumstances like this. Should have featured Nico more. I agree with you, except that I think part of it was that they were doing, what we saw a whole lot last year. They're showing cover 2, taking Nico out of the game as much as possible, and that's when you got to rely on everybody else. They ended up throwing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different people caught passes in this game, or were targeted in this game. Dameon Pierce could have had a catch, but he didn't.
What in particular, you were saying you were optimistic. What in particular were the things that give you optimism that that this isn't potentially a long-term problem, that you can get it back?
Yeah, I thought the quick pass game was efficient. I thought the run game was efficient in ways. There's a lot of things that I think we didn't get to because of the negative play. So Nick kind of had his hands tied around his back. It's hard to operate in 2nd and 20 and, those type of systems. And, that's something that, sadly, we've gotten used to, and we got to fix that here. We can't expect to win close games like that. So we got to just make plays. I think they made more plays than us. We got to come down with just better urgency, I think.
Yeah, the efficiency is interesting. They were 2 for 9 on 3rd downs. One of those they would end up converting the 4th and short with a QB sneak. But the one that was interesting, I think Brett Coleman tweeted this out. And this is, I'm not trying to, search for positives where there aren't or anything, but heading into Sunday Night Football, per the data from the folks over at PFF, the offense with the highest successful play rate today was the New York Jets. Yeah. The Texans were 9th in terms of percentage of successful plays. So on 1st down, you're running for 4 yards. On 3rd and short, you're running for a 1st down or whatever you might have it. The Texans were 9th. And a lot of that was really based in the first half. That's why it doesn't feel as good as that graphic right there looks. Not that that's a spectacular graphic or anything, but the lack of negative run plays, the lack of tackles for a loss, as meager as that sounds, it's actually a really good thing compared to what they were last year. And I'll point to that with a little bit of shame, but somewhat unabashedly, that last year they were starting in 2nd and 12 because there was a tackle for a loss. They were starting in 3rd and 15 because it was a tackle for a loss on 1st down. And then you have an incompletion on 2nd down. But then the other part of that, though, too, is they had a lot of pre-snap penalties last year, early in the season especially. They got to clean that up. That's just sloppy execution.
You had mentioned that you got coming to the line now, you got a lot more freedom to do. Was there enough situation where you sort of like the check me, and when you got to the line, it was just a situation that everything just didn't pan out enough, what you felt like that you could have had enough check me to make some changes at the line when they presented a different front from what you was expecting?
Okay, I think he's basically asking, were there enough situations where you could have, made some changes at the line of scrimmage? And CJ gives a really interesting answer here.
Everything we thought we were going to do. Yeah, so it was pretty on at least the passing game. They had the fronts we thought they were going to have, and I did it correctly. I think we missed. I missed 1 or 2, and those are the points in the game where So I got to do a better job of being in control up there and helping those guys out to get the IDs correct. So but other than that, I thought we did a decent job at it. I missed about 2. So, but I think then again, and I'm not trying to come with excuses, but it's our first game, first time in the system. We'll be better, and I trust in my guys. It will be all right.
I know there was at least one in the passing game, and I don't know in the run game. Obviously, we can go back and look at that. In the pass game, there was that one where blitzer came off the edge free, and I think the protection was right. It was that CJ wasn't anticipating the unblocked rusher, that's on the quarterback at that point. So that might have been one of the two moments that he was talking about in the game. Pre-snap, by and large, I was pleased with the operation, except for the one time where they were having a hard time getting the snap off, and then obviously I'm not happy with the illegal shifts, especially when they're trying to go up in hurry up mode. They're not there yet, man. Obviously they gotta hammer that stuff down.
How much, obviously you want to get a win today, but how much does it help to have this game now done and you can see real game that counts, kind of really to evaluate where you guys are and the tweaks that you got to make?
I think it's good. It's early. There's a bunch of upside. I think we could possibly have. I always try to think positively and give ourselves a little grace, but also there's some urgency and there's some things we need to fix. So I know the conversations will be hard and, we'll be hard on each other, but I think it's a good thing. It's, where friction is I think that's love. So I want to see all my teammates do well. And I think, when there's friction in that, I think sometimes it's a good thing just in a positive way. So.
Let me adjust one of these comments here from IDK. Let's see. Somebody said that the penalty yards don't predict. Okay, here we go. 100 yards passing doesn't reflect too many penalties. I feel like those two, I think I know what you're trying to say, Flicks and Lyrics, but I'm going to say that maybe you're a little bit drunk or something. Because it can and it cannot. I think the one part of the penalties, if you're saying that having 11 penalties in a game isn't a bad thing, that's twice the average number of penalties, I don't know what your point is. As far as how it affects the passing game, at the very least, it does put you back into disadvantageous situations. Doesn't tell the whole story by any stretch of the imagination. There are a whole bunch of other things that go into having a poor passing performance. But just stop trying so hard with this nonsense.
Hey, Jonathan, being a SoCal kid, like being back here playing in front of your fans.
Oh, it was cool, man. I was, very blessed. Just riding in, seeing, places where I used to go growing up, fields I used to play at, high schools and stuff like that. I think it's, amazing. I love where I'm from. I love my village, and, I think, the state of California has really backed me in a lot of ways. So very grateful for that. And, I love LA, but, wish I got a dub here.
Yeah, great. Okay, go. I'm glad you got to go home.
When you kind of felt like the urgency was there, well, wasn't at the level you needed it to be at least as an offense, what did you just kind of do to try to get that jump started to get the urgency more there from the offense?
Yeah, for me, I think in those type of moments, there's things vocally that need to be said. But I think, for me, execution breeds energy. So, when you're not executing, who is going to be smiling and running around, having energy? You got to execute. So, I think that's the point, is the execution goes up, the energy goes up. And even in times, because it's NFL, they get paid too. We're not going to always be on the other side of good. We got to have a certain type of tenacity and grit to push past the negativity and push past the negative plays. And I think we'll do a better job at that.
I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Did anybody ask Titus Howard about him shouting at either D'Amico or CJ or whatever that was going on there? I try not to read into that too much because sometimes guys shout at each other. Might have been about something simple or nothing at all. I'm just curious about, as CJ's talking about, just kind of gritting on through the hard stuff, and they did. I mean, to the Texans' credit, they were they were putting together a nice drive finally in the second half at the very end of the game until Agumbawale fumbled the damn ball. But I don't, as far as reading body language on the sidelines or having energy or anything, that's all a bunch of BS. Are you performing on the field? That's all. And I think that's what CJ's saying.
You did a good job of evading pressure often. What were you saying, or what did you feel like allowed you to be able to do that?
Yeah, these first games, I think, for me, you never know what they're going to do.
I'm sorry, Flicks and Lyrics. I get you now. I got to be careful. I'm getting aggravated about when it's late at night and when I don't see what people are responding to or anything. Sorry about that, man.
They could be doing their old stuff. They could try new things. They could be there. It was the same coordinator, but it could be a new coordinator. For me, first games, I always just trust my instincts, trust my training, trust my fundamentals, trust my God-given talent, and I think that helps me to play faster and to have a little bit of swag out there. And I think I kind of did that today. So hopefully keep that up. But yeah, just early on in the season, before you get a real rapport or idea what the defense is doing, you got to just play with your instincts.
Thank you.
No, I don't
allow them to.
I don't want to hear about the swag. The best swag is no swag at all, is what Daniel Jones, college quarterback at Duke, said. They got to find some balance between. What am I going to do? Sit here and hate on Daniel Jones? Let's see what Daniel Jones finished with today. Daniel Jones, they had a good game. This is what I feared about the Colts, is that Shane Steichen, when given a Daniel Jones who has a good offensive line in front of him and has Jonathan Taylor in the backfield and has some weapons at wide receiver, and who's also happens to be playing the Miami Dolphins, who might just be genuinely atrocious this year. Daniel Jones, 22 for 29, 272 yards, 9.4 yards per attempt, 1 passing touchdown. I believe he had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. Yep. That's my kind of swag. Give me that Daniel Jones swag. Yeah. All right. There's brighter days ahead. Got a game to go. Got a little bit extra time to practice before a Monday night game. If you want to go pick up a ticket, no, I won't do the read here because I didn't check that it was monetized. So check elsewhere for my monetization type things. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Have a good night's sleep. Don't be depressed. Keep your chin up, killers.